So on 4th of July, my family and I, we got invited to a family get-together that was here. They don't necessarily come to our church, but they asked us to come over to their house. And to be truthful, I thought it was just going to be the four of us, or the family of us and the family of them. And I got there, and it was a large amount of people that I did not know at all. And so, as you know me, I'm not one to shy away. We sat down and started talking to everybody, and lo and behold, I didn't realize that the crowd had some pastors in it that were retired pastors and some pastors that are pastoring in Panama City, and I didn't know this, and I'm having conversations sitting down, and one of the pastors that was there found out that I was a pastor as he was sitting there, and this pastor looks over at me. He goes, "You don't believe all this stuff, do you?" And I said, "Well, what stuff are you talking about?" And he said, "You don't believe all that Jesus stuff." Now, I don't know who he is. I don't know he's a pastor. And I said, "I do. I do believe it." And he looks at me, dead in my face, straight-faced, and says, "Why? Why? Why do you believe in it? You don't believe in any of that stuff, right?" And just as I was going to really answer and say, "Well, if you'd love to hear a testimony, I'd love to talk to you," he gets elbowed by somebody and says, "Stop messing." Testimony, I'd love to talk to you. He gets elbowed by somebody and says, "Stop messing with him. He is a pastor, and he is a pastor." And so he gets the grin and looking at me, he goes, I was just messing with you while you were here." But it drew into me, do we have an answer? Do we have the answer when someone questions our faith? Do we have what we are to say? Will we be the person that cowers away and doesn't say anything? Will we be the person that kind of lightly talks about Christianity? Or will we have an actual speech or an actual words that we will say to defend our faith? Last week we had a passage from Peter that I'm bringing in this week because it's very apropos of where we are in this passage. Peter is writing a letter to dispersed Christians who are being attacked by the world by those very questions. Do you really believe in this? I don't believe that Jesus Christ says who he is. I don't believe in any of that. Prove to me. Tell me. So Peter is writing a letter of encouragement to these dispersed Christians who are being bombarded and being tested about their faith. And this is what he says in his first letter. "But in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for the reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect." So a couple of things to look at. He is saying at first and foremost, in your heart, honor Christ. In your heart, in your daily life, honor Christ. Show him as glory. Show him as holy. Show him as to others who he is in your life. And exalt him always. But always being prepared to defend your faith. Always being prepared to have or make a defense to anyone who asks you of the hope that you carry. Anybody that asks you, why do you have this hope? And at the very end, something we tend to skirt past sometimes, is he says, have this defense with gentleness and respect. We tend to skirt past that sometimes, and we should not. That defense is what we would call today as apologetics. The Greek term is apologia, which means to defend your faith. You see, Peter had already gone through these trials. By the time he's writing this letter, he has already gone through these trials in his own life. He had already had those who were opposed to Jesus in his face and charging him with blasphemy. He had already made the apologia and had evidence to back it up. What he speaks of in this letter and what he speaks of us or speaks to us today and shows us today is how, as Christians, we are to be defending the faith. And that is our message this morning, defending the faith. We're in Acts chapter 5, verses 27 through 32. We're continuing on at the very last ends of this series of signs, wonders, and results. And what we must understand as believers is that a result of God saving us, doing amazing signs and wonders in our lives, will draw results. And those results can be damaging to us and to others if we are not prepared to defend our faith. So let us stand this morning and read God's word together in reverence to him. As I said before, we'll be in Acts chapter 5, verses 27 through 32. If you do not have the passage in front of you, we will have it here on the screen as we read. But let us come together as his body and read his word. And when they had brought them, they set them before the council. And the high priest questioned them, saying, "We strictly charge you not to teach in this name, yet here you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching, and you intend to bring this man's blood upon